Hey guys, it's Alexandra from EyeLoveKnots.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make my Landon coasters. My Landon series features the moss stitch, also known as the linen stitch, and sometimes called the woven stitch. I know it best as the moss stitch, so you'll probably hear me referring to it as that. But basically the moss stitch is single crochets, chain one spaces throughout the whole entire thing. So for your first round, you make a chain, single crochet into the second chain, chain one, skip the next chain, single crochet into the next one, and you do that all the way across the row. And then when you work your next row, you work single crochets into all those chain spaces, and you chain one and skip over all the previous single crochets. And it staggers those stitches there. And it creates one of the most beautiful textures. I love the fabric that the moss stitch creates. So my Landon series features this moss stitch and a modified crab stitch for the edging. I think it's best shown on my table runner right here. I think this cream color is absolutely gorgeous, but the border is going to be a modified crab stitch. Crab stitch in itself is beautiful and twisted and adds such great texture. So in this modified version, I am working a reverse single crochet, which is also the crab stitch, reverse single crochet, chain one, skip the next stitch, reverse single crochet into the next one. And as you repeat that, it just spreads out the stitch just a little bit. You still get that twisted texture, but it's more simplified. And in this cream color, I think it's even a little bit more elegant. So I'm going to show you how to do that. For coasters, my preferred fiber is going to be 100% cotton. You're going to need worsted weight for this project. This is WeCrochet Dishie. The gray color is called silver. The blue color is called Azure, but I'm not sure. I think this yellow might be Creme Brulee. I'll note all these in the description box below, as well as provide a link. This is one of my favorite yarns to use. It is color fast, so you don't have to worry about your colors fading or bleeding. And I love that peace of mind. As long as you're not using anything out of the oven that is like scorching hot, you can use any fiber to create coasters. I have coasters that I personally use that I've used Red Heart Super Saver for, which is 100% acrylic. It is still going to capture the condensation off your cups. It is going to protect your surface, so it does not matter if you use a synthetic or plant or animal fiber or whatever you want, you can use. My preferred fiber is going to be cotton. Together with this worsted weight yarn, you're going to need an H8 5mm crochet hook. This is going to be used for the body of the coaster, and for the border we're going to switch down a crochet hook size. So this is a G6 4.25mm crochet hook, and I go down a hook size here because the border can ruffle. So this is my quick fix. The other thing you can do is you can just work it all in the H and then block your finished piece. You're going to find the written pattern for this in the description box below. I will also link other pieces if you want to make matching sets. I have a washcloth pattern in the Landon series. This is the table runner. I also have a hand towel. Gauge is not essential for this project, but if you want to take gauge, you're going to need a soft tape measure as well. And gauge only matters if the finished size of the coasters matters to you. So if it doesn't matter, you don't have to take it. It doesn't make a difference. So gauge is a little bit different in this project because the finished project is smaller than pretty much what the gauge would be. So if you made a big sample, or if you made another one of my projects and you took gauge, then you can measure against that. But instead of working a regular gauge swatch here, at the end, before you put the border on, your coaster is going to be about 3 3/8 inches wide. After several rows, maybe 5 rows or so, take your gauge and see where you are. If you're measuring smaller, then you'll want to go up a crochet hook size and rework it. If you're measuring larger, then you'll want to go down a crochet hook size and rework it. And again, you only need to do that if the finished size of the coaster is important to you. If you don't mind if it's a little bit smaller or a little bit larger, then just go with the pattern. But I just wanted to mention it just in case it was essential to you. This way you know how to handle it. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, I'm going to start with a slip knot. So I'm going to pull the working yarn here over my fingers, wrap it around my index finger 2 times, hold the tension with my thumb and my middle finger. Then I'll pull the loop on the left up over the other one but not off my finger. Then pull the loop on the left now up over the other one and off my finger. Take my crochet hook, insert it into the loop on my finger and pull it off. Then I'll hold the working yarn with my right hand and the short tail end in my left, I'm going to pull that to normal tension. The chain multiple for this is going to be an even number. By starting with a chain that is an even number, it will give you an odd number of stitches. For this stitch pattern to work, you need an odd number of stitches. So to make these coasters, you're going to want to start with a chain 18. To chain, we yarn over and pull through the loop on our hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook. And I also wanted to point out before I continue that I am using my H8 5mm crochet hook. The smaller crochet hook is going to be for the border, so you're going to want to use your larger hook right now. I'm going to continue to work all my chains, and then we'll continue into round 1. Alright, I have all my chains worked. We're going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. We don't count the loop that's on our hook, so we're skipping this chain, and in that next chain we're going to single crochet. Insert your hook right into the center of the chain, yarn over and pull through. That gives you 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. Then we're going to chain 1. And this chain 1 here starts our repeat. So the repeat is chain 1, skip the next chain, single crochet into the next chain. Insert your hook right into the center, yarn over, pull through. That gives us 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. Then we repeat again, chain 1, skip the next chain, single crochet into the next chain, insert your hook right into the center, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. Then repeat again, chain 1, skip the next chain, single crochet into the next chain. And you're going to continue working this repeat all the way across the row. Alright, there's my last single crochet of the row. Row 1 is complete. Counting each single crochet and each chain as a stitch, you'll find that you have an odd number of stitches now, which is exactly what we need for this stitch pattern to work. The row that we just worked is one of 2 repeats that we're going to work throughout the whole entire piece. Row 2 here is going to be the second part of the repeat. So I'm going to start row 2 with a chain 1, and then I'll turn. We'll single crochet into the very first stitch, insert right into the center of the stitch, picking up both loops from that V, and complete your single crochet. Then we're going to single crochet into the chain space. The chain space is that space right next to you that was created by working a chain 1 and skipping the stitch. So we're going to insert our hook right into the center of that hole, and the chain is going to be on our hook as we do that. Then we'll yarn over and pull through, and it sort of captures the chain in your stitch, and then you complete your single crochet. And right here you can see this big hole opening up. This is because my slip knot is not completely secured until I weave it in. So you can just hold your fabric there in your left hand and pull on that short tail end to close that hole up. So now we begin the repeat of row 2. Same exact thing, chain 1, but we skip the next single crochet, skip that single crochet into the next chain space. Insert right into the center of it. You have the chains on top of your hook. then yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and pull through to complete your single crochet. Repeat again, chain 1, skip the next stitch, which is a single crochet, single crochet into the chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next chain 1 space. And you'll continue this all the way across. When you get to the end, you'll have one more stitch left. We'll work that together, and then the second row will be done. Alright, so I've reached the end of my row now. I have one single crochet left there on the end. We're going to single crochet into that stitch. So your ends are always going to start and finish with a single crochet. And there's row 2 complete. So now we're going to go back and work round 1 again, but this time it'll be a little bit different because you'll be working around single crochets instead of chains. So let's start with a chain 1 and then we'll turn. We're going to single crochet into the very first stitch. Then our repeat begins here. Chain 1, skip the next single crochet, single crochet into the next chain space. Chain 1, skip the next single crochet, single crochet into the next chain space. Continue working all the way across. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next chain space, and this row will work out evenly. In this last part of the repeat here, we're chaining 1, skipping the next stitch, and single crocheting into the last stitch of the row. And row 3 is complete. So we're going to continue repeating row 2 and then row 3, back to row 2, then row 3, all the way until we get to the height that we want. So let's work row 2 and row 3 one more time together, and then we'll talk about how many rows you'll need, and then we'll get into the border. So row 2, chain 1, turn, single crochet into the first stitch, then single crochet into the next chain space. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and continue working all the way across. Here at the end I have one stitch left and I'm going to single crochet in there. Then row 3, chain 1, turn, single crochet into the first stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next space. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next space. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next space, and continue working all the way across. Here at the end I'm going to chain 1, skip this single crochet, and then single crochet into the very last stitch. So in these rows that you're working, one row will start with 2 single crochets in the beginning and then start the moss stitch and end with 2 single crochet, and the next row will just start with 1 single crochet, begin the moss stitch, and end with a single crochet. And you'll just continue repeating this, staggering those stitches by working them into the chain spaces. For these coasters, you're going to work 14 rows in total. If you'd like to add or take rows away to make it bigger or smaller, just make sure that you end on an even numbered row. For the border to work correctly, this stitch pattern needs to end on an even number of rows. so it gives us an odd number of stitches for the border. I'm going to go ahead and work a couple more rows off camera and then I'll be back. Alright, I worked just a few rows here so I could just do a small sample, and now I'm going to show you how to add the border. We're switching now to our smaller crochet hook. This is a G6 4.25 millimeter hook, and I'm just reinserting it into my last loop there. The first round is just going to be even single crocheting all the way around, so we're going to start with a chain 1 and then we'll turn. We'll single crochet into the very first stitch, single crochet into the next space, single crochet into the next single crochet, single crochet into the next space, and work all the way across here until you get to the last stitch. The next stitch here is going to be my last stitch of the top part, and I'm going to increase in there. I'm going to form a corner that is going to help my piece continue to lay flat. My last stitch here is the last single crochet of the top. We need to increase here in the corner so that it will lay flat. So we're just going to add extra stitches there. We'll start with one single crochet into the last stitch, then chain 1, and then single crochet back into that same exact stitch, and that's going to form our corner there. And it's going to give me a rounded edge. If you want something more square, you can try adding another chain in there so you have 2, and it will probably square it out a little bit better. So when we're working on the top, not including the first stitch and the last stitch where the corners will be, in between that, the total number of stitches that you will have is going to be equal to the total number of stitches minus 2. Take the total number of stitches you have in the row for your entire piece, subtract 2, and that's how many stitches you're going to have here in the middle, not including the first stitch and the last stitch. Alright, now we're going to work down the side of the row, and the way that this works is you work one stitch per row, and we work it right into the side edge of the row, and there's 2 different types of rows you're going to see. So the next one sort of looks like a normal stitch. It's got a bottom leg there and a top leg there, and if you look from the side, it's got that V shape. So we're going to insert our hook right into the center of that stitch. You want to work as close to the side edge as possible. You'll have 2 loops on your hook there, and then yarn over and complete your single crochet. The next type of stitch you're going to see looks just like a hole. So you'll insert your hook there. There is also 2 loops there on the edge, but they're tighter together so it's a little bit harder to see. But just insert your hook right into that hole and then complete your single crochet. The next one looks more like a stitch. Insert your hook into the center of it, picking up just the 2 loops on the edge, and complete your single crochet. And the next one is a hole. Just insert right into it and complete your single crochet. Next one is a stitch. Work as close to the side edge in the middle of that stitch as possible. The next one looks like a stitch. Insert your hook right into the center of it, picking up just those 2 loops on the edge. And the next one is a hole here. You'll work all the way down your row until you get to the very last stitch. So in that last stitch we're going to increase again. So just go ahead and work up to this point, not including the first stitch that we increased or the last stitch. Here on the side, you're going to take the total number of rows that you have for your project, then you'll subtract 1, and that will be how many stitches you'll have here on the side, not including your first stitch and your last stitch. Alright, now we're going to work on the opposite side of the foundation chain here. So in this very next stitch, which is the last one of the side, we're going to single crochet, chain 1, and then single crochet right back into that same stitch. That's going to increase there and give us a corner. Then we're just going to work across the bottom just like we did on the top. I am going to change one thing here, and instead of working into the space itself like we did on the top, I'm going to work into the chain. So I'm just going to insert my hook right into the center of the chain and complete my single crochet. Then the next stitch has a single crochet worked onto it, insert into the chain and complete a single crochet. The next one is a space, so I'll insert right into the center of the chain. The next one has a stitch on it, just work into it as normal. And I'm going to continue down the line this way, and the reason why I'm not working into the spaces is because the hole is a little bit larger on this side, and by working into that space it just elongates that hole. So by working into the chain, it sort of will make it a little bit closer together and the hole won't be as noticeable. Alright, I've worked across the row here. I have one more stitch left. I'm going to work another increase there. So we'll single crochet, chain one, single crochet, all into that same stitch. This hole is going to open up because that slip knot is not secured yet. So you can hold on to your fabric with your right hand and pull the tail end with your left, and it'll close that hole up. And then we'll better secure that in a little bit when we weave in our ends. And as we work the rest of it, the fabric will rest a little bit more and those holes there on the end will close up. Not completely, but it'll match the rest of the fabric a little bit better. So again here, not including the first stitch or the last stitch where the corners are worked, in the middle you're going to have the same number of stitches as you did on the top, and that's determined by taking the total number of stitches that you have per row and subtracting 2. That's going to give you how many stitches you'll have here in the middle. Alright, we have one more side to work up, and we're going to do it the same way as we did on the other side. The stitches here are opposite now though, because we're working on the other side and you've altered your turning. The stitches here are just reversed. So the next one that we have here looks like a stitch. Insert right into the center, picking up just the 2 loops on the edge, and complete your single crochet. The next one looks like a hole. Insert right into the edge there and complete your single crochet. Next one looks like a stitch. Insert into the center, picking up just those 2 loops on your hook. Complete your single crochet. Next one is a hole, and you'll just continue all the way up until you get back to the beginning. And as you work here, you'll just want to make sure you have the same number of stitches as you did on the other side. And that's determined by taking the total number of rows that you finished with minus 1. That's how many stitches you'll have here in the middle, not including the first stitch and the last one where the corners are worked. Once we're back here to the beginning, we're going to complete that first corner. We're going to single crochet into the same stitch as the first one. And then we're going to chain 1 and slip stitch join to the first stitch. Insert your hook right into that stitch, picking up both loops as normal. Yarn over, pull through that stitch and the loop that's on your hook. And now round 1 of the border is finished. Alright, so round 2 is where we work the modified reverse single crochet. If you don't want to work it, you can finish off here, or you can work another round of regular single crochet all the way around. Just make sure in the chain 1 spaces of the corners that you increase again. So in that chain 1 space I would work single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, just so that as it grows larger it continues to lay flat. You can also pick any number of stitches to work your border with, but I'm going to show you here how to do it with the reverse single crochet. This is modified because we're not working it in every stitch. So we're going to start by working a chain 1, and then where we normally would work counterclockwise to the left, reverse single crochet is worked to the right clockwise. So instead of our first stitch being here to the left, the first stitch is going to be to the right inside that chain 1 space that we just finished. I'm going to hold the loop on my hook with my index finger, and then I'm going to insert my hook from the right side into that chain space. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through. There are 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. I'm going to rotate my fabric just a little bit, and as I hold the tension here on my hook, I want to sort of pull the stitch to the right as I work. I'm going to insert my hook into that next single crochet as normal from the right side to the wrong side, and then yarn over and pull through. That gives me 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. And the reason why I wanted to pull to the right is so that instead of a bunch of stitches bunching up on top of each other, it pulls it to the right so it will lay flat and be its own established stitch there. Alright, here's where our repeat begins. We're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next single crochet, and then in the next single crochet we'll reverse single crochet. So holding the tension here on my hook, skipping that next stitch, and in the next stitch I'm going to insert my hook there from the right side to the wrong side as normal, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. And the nice thing about skipping the stitch is it already is pulling your stitches to the right. Repeat again, chain 1, hold the tension on my crochet hook, skip the next stitch, reverse single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, reverse single crochet into the next stitch. And you'll continue working that repeat all the way down until you get to the end, and the last single crochet that you worked into will be in the corner of the bottom there. We're going to reverse single crochet into the chain space now, insert right into the center of the chain space, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both loops. Then rotate your fabric. We're now on the bottom side. Insert your hook into the next stitch. Just make sure here that you're pulling to the right so that your stitch lays more to the right. Insert into that next stitch, and then complete your single crochet. And that stitch right there is in the second single crochet of the corner. So now we are going to work across the bottom, same exact way as we just did on the side. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to continue working all the way across. Your last single crochet is going to be worked into the first single crochet of the corner. Then we're going to reverse single crochet into the next chain space. Rotate your fabric, reverse single crochet into the next single crochet, which is the second single crochet from the corner. And now we're in a position to work up the side, same exact way as we have been. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Go ahead and continue working up the side. Your very last stitch is going to be worked into the first stitch of the corner. Once we get there, we'll reverse single crochet into the next chain space. Then rotate your fabric, reverse single crochet into the next single crochet, which will be the second one from the corner. And now we're ready to work down the row again. Same exact way, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. And just continue working all the way across the row. When you get to the end, your last single crochet is going to be worked into the same stitch that our chain 1 was in. Alright, there is the ending. And we can slip stitch join here. We'll do it in the reverse direction as well to match everything else. I'm just going to hold the tension of my loop on my hook, go here to the right, work into the side edge of that stitch, trying to only pick up 2 loops there on the edge on my hook, yarn over, pull through, and then I will pull through the first stitch on my hook. It's a little bit tricky here because it's all twisted. And then we're going to fasten off here. Here, after I've done my final join of the border, I fastened off, making this a tail end long enough that I could weave in. Now I'm going to pull up on this loop that I have on my hook to break it. And then I'll thread this into my tapestry needle. And I want to bring the tail end to the back, so I'm just going to insert my needle down into the same stitch that I joined to, from the right side here to the wrong side, and manipulate the fabric with my fingers so that this looks like the rest of the border there, and then I'm ready to weave in my ends on the back. I'm just going to flip this around. And I'm going to weave vertically here into the border. I'm going to work 3 passes. For all of my ends, I always work 3 passes. Another thing I always do, when I enter and exit the stitches, I break them in half. So here is picking up the whole entire stitch on my needle. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to insert my needle down into the center of that stitch, breaking it in half. Then I'll run it under several stitches here on the border. And when I exit the stitch, I'm going to break it in half again. And I do this so that it captures my yarn better. So there's the first pass completed. Flip it around, insert into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half. And then I'm going to work up through several of those stitches that I just worked on that edge there. Breaking my last stitch in half. And I like to hold the fabric and tug on the yarn to tighten it up, and then use my fingers to manipulate the fabric so that it doesn't bunch up. I want it to lay flat and look natural. That's my second pass. I'm going to work 1 more here. 3 is my magic number. That's what I feel the most secure with. If you feel secure after 2, you can fasten off then. If you feel like you need another pass, go ahead and work a 4th one. It's whatever you feel the most comfortable with as you're working. Then I fasten off. And this is from the right side where we finished. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with my other end over here. And we crocheted over part of it for a few stitches, and I considered that to be my first pass. So here I'm only going to work 2 more passes. And instead of working vertically, here I'm going to work horizontally. The only time that it matters which direction you're weaving your ends in is if it's going to prohibit the stretch. Since this is a coaster, we don't really have to worry about that. So I'm just going to work horizontally 2 more times there. And now our coaster is ready to go. I'm just about to make my morning coffee now, so it's perfect timing. You'll find the written pattern for this linked in the description box below. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Please smash that like button and hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.